Next on the news.
We're an organization that believes in the power of prayer, and there is nothing more this community could do for us than to pray.
The community of Tulsa, Oklahoma, pulling together in prayer after another mass shooting, this time at a Catholic hospital. Also,
we're looking for the right person for the job.
New York City's mayor names a gun violence czar to stem the rise in shootings. And milk banks across the U.S. step up amid a shortage of baby formula. Plus, Pope Francis sends well wishes for Queen Elizabeth II as she begins celebrating her Platinum Jubilee. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now.
Lord, I see a world that's dying, wounded by the master of deceit.
Employees of a Catholic hospital in Tulsa praying for their murdered colleagues, the victims of the latest mass shooting in the U.S. Prayer is what Bishop David Conderla of the Diocese of Tulsa is asking for after gun violence came to Oklahoma. A former patient armed with 2 weapons aiming for the doctor who cared for him. Police got to the scene within 3 minutes of a 911 call, but by then, 5 people were gone. It's a scene becoming all too familiar. Police responding to an active shooter, this time at a medical building in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's a multi-floor facility, hundreds of rooms, hundreds of people. It was complete chaos as people ran out.
A gunman opening fire Wednesday, killing 2 doctors, a receptionist, and a patient before cops say he turned the gun on himself. The police chief says the shooter targeted this doctor who performed back surgery on him, blaming him for ongoing pain.
We have also found a letter on the suspect which made it clear that he came in with the intent to kill Dr. Phillips.
He came in armed with a handgun and an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle he bought just hours before the shooting.
We're an organization that believes in the power of prayer, and there is nothing more this community could do for us than to pray for the families and the loved ones and the victims of this senseless act.
The medical building is on the campus of St. Francis Hospital, a Catholic nonprofit health system.
Whatever faith you subscribe to, and even if you don't subscribe to a faith, I will tell you that a prayer is just a solemn request for help. And I think we could all agree that our world needs a little bit of help right now.
Archbishop Paul Coakley of Oklahoma City is also offering his prayers, but in a statement said, "We need to speak louder in defense of all human life from conception until natural end and find ways to stop the mass killing of innocent human beings." Bishop Conderla, several priests and religious Sisters of Mercy were at the medical building shortly after the shooting to offer pastoral support to those affected. Hospital staff say they will continue to do their jobs even with broken hearts. Pope Francis spoke out about the increase in gun violence after the Texas school shooting, saying in part, "It is time to say enough to the indiscriminate trafficking of arms. Let us all commit ourselves so that such tragedies never happen again." New York City Mayor Eric Adams has a plan to do that. He named a gun violence czar to combat the recent sharp rise in shootings in the city. Adams made the announcement at an event on Thursday to help mark Gun Violence Awareness Month. The mayor named Andre Mitchell to the post. Mitchell is the founder of the Brooklyn anti-violence group Man Up, and Adams says he's behind Mitchell all the way.
We're looking for someone that's not afraid to be in the street and embrace our people. We're looking for the right person for the job. And AT is the right person for the job.
Adams also said he will continue to roll out programs in the days, weeks, and months ahead to remove guns from city streets. The NYPD is searching for the man who stabbed a 16-year-old girl in Brooklyn. The video released by police shows the victim walking into a location on Rutland Road in Brownsville on May 22nd. Police say the suspect, identified as O.C. Lewis, stabbed her in the shoulder and ran off. The victim was treated at the hospital and released. The Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerns in the Diocese of Brooklyn is asking the community to join them in an interfaith prayer service for the victims of the recent mass shootings. The service will take place at 4 p.m. this Sunday, June 5th, at the Immaculate Conception Church in Jamaica Estates. The address is 8645 Edgerton Boulevard. Bishop Robert Brennan will preside over the service and will be joined by Father Alonzo Cox, as well as other religious leaders in the community. The call for prayer comes as a grand jury indicts the 18-year-old accused in last month's mass shooting in Buffalo. According to court documents, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron faces a 25-count indictment, which includes domestic terrorism and hate charges. Authorities say Gendron opened fire inside of Tops Supermarket on May 14th, shooting 13 people and killing 10. After the attack, Buffalo's mayor accused the suspect of traveling there with the specific intention of ending as many black lives as possible. The shootings in Buffalo and at the school in Uvalde were just the latest examples in a disturbing new pattern in mass shootings where the accused are young men aged 21 or younger. Back in March of 2021, a 21-year-old man was accused of opening fire at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado. In 2019, a 21-year-old gunman allegedly targeted Hispanic shoppers at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, resulting in 23 deaths. In May of 2018, a 17-year-old was accused of killing 8 students and 2 teachers in Santa Fe, Texas. And a 19-year-old has admitted to killing 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, in February of 2018. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers are proposing new gun restrictions in the wake of the Uvalde school massacre. One proposal is pushing states to offer red flag laws, also known as risk protection orders, or RPOs. They allow authorities to seize guns and block the sale of firearms to people showing signs of violent intent. Leila Santiago has a look at how these orders are working in Florida.
I haven't used a gun in 2 years.
The judge ordered this man to give up his weapons. The man told us it was because he sent a photo of himself with a gun pointed at his chin to a loved one on the anniversary of his son's death. He agreed to surrender his gun.
Listen, I'm a strong Second Amendment guy. I'm a conservative. I believe risk protection orders work.
Those risk protection orders, or RPOs, that the Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd is talking about are at the center of Florida's red flag law. It allows a judge to temporarily take away firearms and ammunition from anyone deemed a threat by law enforcement, usually for a year. They can't buy guns either.
It's simply a cooling off period until you have some mental health counseling.
Florida is one of 19 states that have passed a law like this, one of just a few red states with such legislation.
We left nothing on the table to make sure that we prevented what happened here at Douglas from happening in the state of Florida again.
Former State Representative Jared Moskowitz graduated from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. In 2018, after a gunman killed 17 students and faculty there, lawmakers passed legislation that not only established its red flag law, it also raised the age requirement to buy a gun from 18 to 21, added a 3-day waiting period, a guardian program which allows trained school staff to carry guns, and set aside $400 million for, among other things, mental health and school security.
We all have to work together to say this person's got a problem, and if we don't address it, they have a large propensity to be an active assailant at some point in time.
And as the country once again grapples with finding solutions to end horrific school shootings, in Florida, Republicans and Democrats say this
Do you have any other weapons?
is working.
I know we're more divided now than we were just 4 years ago. I mean, we didn't just give up. And this was predictable and preventable.
Nothing is more important than protecting our children. Nothing.
That was Leila Santiago reporting. Following the recent massacres in Uvalde and Buffalo, some lawmakers looking to change gun laws see a blueprint in Florida on how to move forward. In Albany, New York lawmakers gave final approval to bolster the state's abortion laws. The list of measures will offer protection to abortion providers who face extradition, arrest, and legal proceedings in other states, and will protect them from medical misconduct charges for performing an abortion. The measure will also prohibit the state from extraditing a patient to another state to face abortion-related charges if the procedure was conducted in New York. Despite this, the pro-life fight rages on across the country, and you can read all about it in this week's edition of the Tablet newspaper. Not only is the paper offering a state-by-state look at statistics and laws, but it's also providing a resource guide for mothers and moms-to-be in the Diocese of Brooklyn, which includes a list of pregnancy centers and housing programs meant to help new mothers choose life, as well as a few words of wisdom from Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan. Again, you can find that story and more in this week's Tablet newspaper. Just head to your local church to pick up a copy. And if you want to get future editions delivered right to your mailbox, just go to thetablet.org and click subscribe. President Biden admits that he didn't foresee the impact of an Abbott plant shutdown on the nation's baby formula supply. At a roundtable meeting, the president added that once his administration learned of the extent of the crisis and how broad it was, they, quote, kicked everything into gear. And as the U.S. turns to other countries for help in dealing with the formula shortage, milk banks nationwide are stepping up to ease some of the burden for many struggling families. As Isabel Rosales reports, it's all thanks to the generosity of mothers donating their extra breast milk for those who need it the most.
Wow, thank you so much.
Megan Doyle is one of the growing number of moms donating their extra supply of breast milk. The Navy pilot and mother of 5-month-old June says the baby formula shortage has inspired her to step up.
As a sailor and in the Navy and an officer, you learn to be selfless. So this is just another way to give that selfless service.
And every drop is making an impact. Donations are pouring in at the University of California Health Milk Bank in San Diego. Executive Director Lisa Stellwagen says they've seen a 5-fold increase in people signing up to donate.
The unexpected response to this formula shortage has been the outpouring of desire to help other people from families in our community. We had a call from a young woman who wanted to try to lactate so she could help us. She does not even have a child.
That surge in donations means the nonprofit can expand its supply at a time when families are struggling to find formula on store shelves to feed their babies.
It could be a child born and adopted, a child born via surrogate pregnancy, and the family isn't going to have access to the mother's milk.
Thanks to that generosity, hospitals relying on the milk bank are able to send new families home with a lifeline. Pediatrician Michelle Leff says the donations are critical for women who are not able to produce any milk or enough of it, including those with biological or medical limitations.
Approximately half of our newborns need some amount of supplementation, and I would say that 75% of those choose to use the donated human milk.
Back at the milk bank, before that precious liquid reaches hospitals or homes, donors are required to take a questionnaire, get written clearance from a doctor, and take a blood test.
It's just a safety thing.
Then that donated milk is pasteurized and tested. And while there are large-scale efforts underway to ease the formula shortages,
this is going to help so many people.
Moms are taking action and helping each other during this desperate time.
It actually makes me feel really sad, but also happy that I'm able to help, you know.
I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
And the White House has just launched a website to address the nation's infant formula shortage. It tracks the administration's efforts to get more formula to supermarkets across the U.S. You'll also find a list of administration actions, including invoking the Defense Production Act and other moves on imports. If you want to log on, that site is whitehouse.gov/formula. There's a lot more news headed your way. Russia's war on Ukraine closes in on day 100, and Pope Francis denounces the use of wheat as a weapon. And are you tired of rapid tests? Researchers in France may have found a 4-legged alternative. Plus, a Vermont man who won't leave his feline friends hanging, how a tree climber found his newest calling. Pope Francis has made an appeal not to use wheat as a weapon of war.
Desta grande preoccupazione il blocco dell'esportazione del grano dall'Ucraina, da cui dipende la vita di milioni di persone, specialmente paesi più poveri.
The Pope made the comments at the end of his general audience Wednesday in St. Peter's Square. Without mentioning Russia, the Holy Father said he was making a heartfelt appeal that every effort be made to resolve the issue of the Ukraine grain blockade. The Pope says we must guarantee the universal human right to food. Ukrainian authorities said last month that Russian forces have stolen hundreds of thousands of tons of grain from areas under their control. And now there's concerns about the impact it could have on the world's food supply. Isa Suarez has the details.
Before the war, most of the food produced by Ukraine was exported through ports like this. Now these key trading docks have ground to a halt, blockaded by Russia, who, according to Ukraine's defense ministry, has also pilfered an estimated 400,000 tons of grain from Ukrainian farmers in Russian-occupied territory. Footage obtained by CNN from Melitopol, Zaporizhia, shows trucks bearing the white Z symbol of the Russian military, transporting grain to Russian-held Crimea. An act that President Zelensky's administration is calling food terrorism.
This is not just a strike at Ukraine. Without our agrarian export, dozens of countries in various regions of the world have found themselves on the brink of food deficit.
As supplies run low and as prices continue to rise, there are fears the war is pushing the world to the brink of a food crisis. The president of the European Council, Charles Michel, vowed the EU, with support from the US, will help look for ways to export grain from Ukraine. Some of it is already being shipped from ports in neighboring Romania, but still only a fraction of Ukraine's total production. More help is needed if Europe's breadbasket is to continue to feed the world.
That was Isa Suarez reporting. The German foreign minister has called Russia's actions a deliberate war of grains. As this tactic of using wheat as a weapon continues, President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian forces have now taken control of 20% of Ukraine. This includes ground gained over Moscow's invasion, the annexed Crimean Peninsula, and the territory held by Moscow-backed separatists. Russian forces have also solidified their hold on the eastern Donbas region and are steadily pushing towards Kramatorsk. Throughout Russia's war with Ukraine, tensions have grown between Pope Francis and the Russian Orthodox Patriarch Kirill. But now the two may have a chance to meet at a religious conference in September. The two have confirmed their attendance for an interfaith summit in Kazakhstan. Back in May, the Holy Father reprimanded Kirill's support of Russia's invasion. The Pope warned the head of the Russian Orthodox Church to not become the Kremlin's altar boy. Having that morning cup of coffee could help you live longer. That's according to a new study out of the United Kingdom that studied more than 171,000 people. Researchers say people who drank 1.5 to 3.5 cups of sweetened coffee had a 30% lower risk of death. I like hearing that. Meanwhile, unsweetened coffee drinkers had between a 16 and 29% lower death risk. Can dogs do a better job of detecting COVID-19 than rapid tests? Researchers in France think so. The study found that specially trained canines sniffing sweat samples were able to detect COVID successfully in nearly all cases. That's compared to the 84% the rapid tests were able to pick up. The researchers say the dogs show great promise for being used when tests are difficult to administer, like in nursing homes and at large events. And speaking of pets, gone are the days when firefighters were the go-to solution for a cat stuck in a tree. But a man in Vermont has a solution, one that combines his love of cats with his love of climbing. As Alyssa Borden reports, this cat rescuer has the equipment and the know-how to help get kitties stuck in trees back on the ground.
Hey, sweetie. Hey, it's okay.
He's a knight in Shining Arbor.
Hang in there, babe.
Richmond's Judson Kimball is just the man that kitties stuck up in trees are looking for.
I'm a recreational tree climber and do a little bit of part-time tree work, and yeah, just love climbing and love cats.
And as it turns out, there's a fairly large community of people online just like him. After watching hours of tree climbing cat rescue videos, Kimball realized he may be able to help with a little persuasion.
I mean, getting up into the tree to the cat is one component, and then being able to handle the cat is another.
With a few years of tree climbing under his belt and thousands of dollars of equipment, Kimball has launched Kitty Climber Cat Rescue of Northern Vermont. All in the name of helping out what he says is his favorite animal.
They purr. I really like the purring, unconditional love, but I don't know. I like how independent they are.
Kimball says he's usually just a phone call or text away from helping kitties get their tiny feet back on the ground. He services about an hour radius around Burlington and only needs pictures to help decide which equipment to bring.
Helmet for protection. This is an arborist climbing saddle harness. I use this arborist slingshot for launching a beanbag with a string attached high up into the tree, and then I connect my rope to that.
Then he attaches a GoPro to his helmet and gets to work.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So far, he's been called 7 times. Some have been as high up as 50 feet off the ground. 3 of those cats got out of the tree without him, but 4 were successfully brought down. A breath of fresh air for kitties and their owners, and a little bit of fun for Kimball.
I climb weekly whether or not there's a cat stuck in the tree, so right now I'm doing about one rescue a week, and it's great.
Saving frightened felines from what could be a catastrophe.
Oh boy, I didn't know it was that big of a problem. Good for him. That was Alyssa Broden reporting. Kimball says some cats can remain stuck for days at a time, which can be dangerous at night. Still to come on Currents News, she's getting ready for her Platinum Jubilee. Pope Francis offering warm wishes for Queen Elizabeth II. And the whole world is poised to mark her 7 decades on the throne. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. The Pope sending greetings for Queen Elizabeth II as her Platinum Jubilee weekend gets underway in the United Kingdom. It's celebrating the Queen's 70 years on the throne. And to mark the milestone, Pope Francis is offering his well wishes to the British monarch, praying over the royal family and the people of the nation. He's also donating a cedar of Lebanon to the Queen's Green Canopy initiative. In the Bible, it symbolizes the flourishing of fortitude, justice, and prosperity. The Pope isn't the only one sending his congratulations to the Queen. People from all over the world are packing the streets of London to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee with 4 days of pomp and pageantry. Riley Carlson is there for the festivities and shares some key moments from the Queen's long reign.
Since 1952, there have been 7 popes, 14 U.S. presidents, and 14 British prime ministers. But there's only been 1 British monarch. Queen Elizabeth II ascended to the throne at the young age of 25 and is now the longest ruling monarch in British history. And at 96 years old, Queen Elizabeth is also its longest living monarch. Her name and image synonymous with royalty and duty. Born 3rd in line to the British throne, she became the heir presumptive when her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated the throne, and her father became King George VI. During her reign, the monarchy has seen many changes, from modernization of the Commonwealth to high-profile royal weddings, scrutinized divorces, and of course, the death of Diana, the people's princess. The Queen weathered these ups and downs with her husband of over 70 years, Prince Philip, until his death last year. Now, after 70 long years, the country and royal watchers all over the world are celebrating her Platinum Jubilee. In London, I'm Riley Carlson.
Congrats to the Queen. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.